C-26, an act to amend the Canada Pension Plan, the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board Act, and the Income Tax Act. I'm proud to stand today in fulfillment of one of the key election promises that we made about a year ago. These changes will make life better for a new generation of retirees. In today's dollar terms, this means that the maximum CPP benefit will go from $13,110 to nearly $20,000 per annum. This represents the single largest change in the CPP in a generation. A change of this magnitude requires the consent of 7 out of the 10 provinces, and we have that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this proposal is long time coming. On June 10, 2010, the former Minister of Finance for Ontario, Dwight Duncan, wrote to the then Minister of Finance seeking expansion of the CPP. And I'd like to quote his letter. Ontario supports a pan-Canadian approach to reform that will provide tomorrow's seniors with better, low-cost tools to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Notwithstanding repeated requests for action, the previous government simply failed to advance this issue federally. The province of Ontario decided to go ahead on its own with the Ontario Retirement Pension Plan. As the program was rolled out and ready for implementation, our Minister of Finance took charge and developed a newly expanded CPP program. This is a historical development for our country, Mr. Speaker. This is not the solution for all of our pension and retirement woes, but it is certainly a great leap forward. The next generation of Canadians need to live with independence, dignity, and pride in their retirement. I would like to take this opportunity to commend and thank our Minister of Finance and all of his provincial counterparts for reaching this historic agreement on retirement security for Canadians. Under Bill C-26, contributions were gradually increased starting in 2019 to a total of an additional 1% of earnings for employees and 1% of earnings for employers by 2023. For self-employed persons, contributions will also slowly rise to a total of 2% of earnings by 2023. Employee contributions will be tax-deductible, Mr. Speaker. For the first time since 1965, income from CPP will increase from 25% to 33% of pre-retirement income to a maximum income threshold of $82,700. In addition to changes to the CPP, our government has already implemented 2 key changes that will help retirees. First, we increase the guaranteed income supplement for single seniors by 10% to a maximum annual top-up benefit of $947. We know that Canadians work hard and deserve to retire in a timely manner, and as such, we rolled back the eligibility for old age security from 67 to 65 years. Even then, for many, the thought of retirement itself is highly stressful because many will not be able to maintain their pre-retirement standard of life. Mr. Speaker, I want to take a moment to review the current options for retirement income. There are essentially 2 types of retirement funds available for Canadians. One is provided and administered by governments, and the other by individuals and corporations. Most Canadians have an element of both. The public scheme includes the Guaranteed Income Supplement, Old Age Security, and the Canada Pension Plan. I'll focus on the second option, which comprises a range of registered employer programs, often set up by employers for the benefit of their employees, and a host of private investment options, such as RRSPs, TFSAs, and other investment instruments. Mr. Speaker, for the generation before us, retirement was part of the life cycle. If you had a well-paying, secure job, you took retirement for granted. Workplace pensions were the norm, but with changes to the global economy, fewer and fewer Canadians now work in jobs that have registered pension plans. In fact, since 1993, the percentage of Canadians with workplace pension plans has dropped from 30% to just over 23% today. This downturn trend is likely to continue. Additionally, the trend has been away from defined benefit plans like the CPP, which guarantee set payments, to defined contribution plans that provide pensioners with much less security. Now, many Canadians are on their own for their retirement. They have to use their RSPs, TFSAs, private investments through multiple investment vehicles, and that is if they're lucky. The private options have several limitations. One, the current challenge in the job market is not the same as it once was. It is much more difficult for people in their 20s to find a job, nevertheless one that has a good pension plan. In 2012, the unemployment rate for youth in Ontario was a staggering 16.9%, and I know in some communities, including mine, it is much higher than that. If our youth in our communities have to work in low-paying jobs where they cannot earn a good living until they're in their late 20s or even in their 30s, how can we expect them to start saving for their retirement? Two, even if you had investments, you had a very vulnerable market in recent years. Mr. Speaker, you will recall the financial meltdown in 2008. As a lawyer at that time, I met many families that were exceptionally stressed about their future. They were worried about losing as much as 40% of their portfolio. Many, in fact, still have not recovered from that loss. Three, let's look at the issue of historical low interest rates. Today, we have many retirees who saved up, were diligent, and are now facing a decade of historical low interest rates. I searched the popular portals for the best possible advertised interest rates today. The current maximum payout is 2% per annum. They're the lucky ones. For the family who worked hard and were able to save $500,000 and place them into a bond or GIC, their maximum payout is $10,000 per year. Chances are historical interest rates will be around for a while. So those with modest or even good savings will not be able to meet their needs. Mr. Speaker, I think it goes without saying that one of the major benefits of the CPP is the exceptional management provided by the CPP Investment Board. Even in the most volatile times, CPPIB is one of the best-run investment firms in the world. They have managed Canadian retirement funds for 50 years with prudence, and yet in the last 5 years alone, they've yielded an annualized return of 10.6%. Mr. Speaker, I know my friends opposite feel that this is an additional burden on our employers and that it may limit job creation. Up until last year, I ran a law firm with about 20 employees at the peak of my practice. I prided myself on making payroll each and every pay period. For most small businesses, this is often the test. I ran the firm for 10 years, and during this time, my employees were the reason for my success. Without employees, I could not have been able to succeed, and I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, that all small businesses succeed because of who they work for them. Most small businesses cannot afford to set up a private defined benefit system or extended health coverage. Most of us rely on our publicly funded and administered programs that are the envy of the world. Between student loans, high cost of housing, the cost of transportation, and the day-to-day expenses of running a household, there simply isn't enough money to save up for retirement. That's why an expanded CPP is good for small business. They can continue to retain good staff, be good employers, and ensure that a well-managed investment board is the custodian of our future retirement. I contend that the peace of mind and security of a better retirement will ensure a more productive workforce. Mr. Speaker, after a lifetime of working, we must do more to ensure that people are able to retire with dignity. We cannot leave this to the marketplace alone. Governments, especially the federal government, must lead in filling these gaps. Mr. Speaker, today 24% of families nearing retirement age are at risk of not saving enough to maintain their standard of living when they retire. With Canadians living longer than ever, many Canadians also risk outliving their retirement savings. By enhancing the CPP, we will reduce the number of Canadians without sufficient retirement savings. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I would like to applaud the Minister of Finance and the Department officials for introducing a bill which is so well thought out. It is a piece of legislation that is truly good for Canada. When people look back on this Parliament, the enhancements made to the CPP will be one of the things that will certainly have left a legacy. By taking steps now to improve retirement security for Canadians, we can ensure that more Canadians can retire with peace of mind. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.